XLcamp nessy, a few more realistic chopping tests. We've done milk bottles and turkeys and bits of ham, so we'll try some wood now. I've very slightly changed the grind of the secondary bevel on this to convex in the centre portion just slightly to toughen it up for chopping. It's still sharp and fairly close, but it just gives out that little bit of extra strength for the centre bit that will do most of the hard work. The first couple of inches are still extremely sharp, you see. Second bit will take hair off, it's a little harder, and the last inch or so is sort of between the two. It wants to be reasonably tough, but you do use the end for fine detail work. Okay, this is a piece of ash. It's sort of partly seasoned. It was a big piece of fallen deadwood I've chopped out, and I use it for various cutting and hacking tests for various things. So we're also on a fairly soft bed here, so there's a bit of bounce which will take in some of the impact away from the chopping. Holding on the knife, full grip, you can come back and hold it on the little finger, leku style, or drop down your hands when you want. So using the centre part of the knife, which we convex slightly for chopping better, and holding back. To say this is a fairly light knife and fairly thin, so it hasn't got the weight of, say, a full-size cookery or an axe. So it's the force and skill that you use which will give you an efficient chopping. As you can see, it's definitely not green, although I wouldn't call it fully seasoned. Okay, no damage on the edge there, as I say. Still just about takes hairs off. Okay, a few more tests. Bit of broom handle. Back of the knife is fairly solid. And again, oops, cutting comp guys use these. This hasn't really got the weights to swing through. I don't want to but it's fairly happy, gives a nice clean sharp finish. Again, coming up, we can use our sharp edge to do some fine curls and carving work if we want, with all the usual carving strokes. Okay, what else have we got? Bit of seasoned or semi-seasoned eucalyptus, again fairly hard. I do have to say that for this sort of size wood I would never use a chopper like this to deal with it. I would always use a saw, it's the better tool for the job. So we're just demonstrating here what I think my knife should be able to cope with. Okay, putting a better slot into these. This is the thin blade, as I keep saying, means it will penetrate quite well. The other tool we use these for is batoning, so let's have a bit of batoning. Here's a baton. Now we're not going to mess around cutting this yet. Let's try a bit of cross batoning, which is slightly harder and is better for a thinner knife. So we've got in an inch. Take it out. So good for making nice square cuts. Can also be used. It might be more efficient sometimes for putting in V-notches as well than just hacking away. Keeps you a lot more accurate. the edges there. Back to our broom handle. This is another one. It's a bit wet. Hey ho. Nice clean cut. Again, batoning puts a lot of impact stress through, so you've got to make sure your knife is up to it and you don't bash it badly, or even if it's poorly made and the handle scales shake off due to the impacts. Right, what else have we got? A little bit of 1/2 inch. Let's have a look. Let's try chopping it first. Okay, I forgot to say, this is copper tube. And that is exactly why the Iron Age took over from the Bronze Age. And copper's fairly soft, softer than hardened steel. You can see that. But it hasn't actually dinked the edge. It's probably taken the very fine burr off, but you can't see it. Still just about shaves hair. Obviously you've got your sharpened bit there that we're not using for all this impact work. What else have we got? Well, there's batoning, I guess. It's got a fairly bouncy bit of wood here. Let's just try and take a corner off. Sorry, you can't really see it. It's not really very high enough. Let's put the knife back in. Just to show you on this, we've got a nice bend here where the piece of wood is pushing it round at a bend. Hopefully, I'll take this out. The temper's brought it back up straight again. We won't bash that through there yet, but we'll try and take this piece off. Again, a bit of cross batoning might help. The problem you have with these thin knives is they go in deep and they stick and jam. Okay, it's the case of compromising one thing against another. So you need to be aware of this, and any tool needs to be used understanding its strengths and its weaknesses and limitations. There we go, so we split a lump off the side there, and the knife is fine. The scales haven't cracked. The worst part on full tang knife is here when you get the flex. You can easily crack the scale off here because it runs back to the first pin. These knives have pins right at the front specifically to try and stop that happening. So again, using the finer sharpened edge that we try and not damage when using heavy work. Bit of fuzz sticking. To say, semi-hardened ash, I guess. So